Hi guys, this is Doug Wagner. I'm the writer of Plastic and Vinyl, and you're listening to 11 O'Clock Comics.
I see nothing wrong with that one.
Oh, okay.
Yes, let us just.
All right.
Let's go with it. Let's run with it.
You got it.
Seems odd to have a third person this week.
Oh my God!
Well, it's his monthly appearance. We're good. We're gonna get the book of the month.
There we go. Yeah.
Punching that clock, yo.
I gotta come to work today.
Hey now.
Time for us.
It's so sweet.
Listen, I'm a man of leisure. I can't help it if my family wants to go on vacations. I mean, who am I?
Oh, no, blame the family. Right.
Blame the Kennedys. They're the ones that got us to go to Ocean City.
Here we go.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. It's 11 O'Clock Comics, episode 866. And I'm Vince B.
Oh, you are my boy Vince B. I am David A. Price.
Indeed. And I, of course, am Sigmund, and y'all be them sea monsters.
Wow.
Damn.
Why?
Why not?
True, but was there anything relevant that happened recently, or
Nope.
did Jerry die, or
Redhead kid? Yeah.
Nah, man. Like a lot of times when I come up with the thing, I just clear my mind and try and let something random pop in there. And
nice.
And Marty Croft popped in my head for some reason. And I thought, oh, okay.
Nothing wrong with that.
I loved that show back in the day.
Yep.
And
And the Bugaloos.
Land of the Lost.
Yeah, the Bugaloos.
Phyllis Diller.
Yeah, well, no, that's not what. But in Sigmund and the Sea Monsters, he had an ecology wagon. Remember that? He used to drag around that ecology wagon, and I didn't have a wagon or wheels, so I had a freaking busted out pallet, and I wrote ecology wagon on the side of it, and I would drag a freaking pallet around with me.
You're adorable.
And first sign of mental illness at such a young age.
Yeah, right.
And
you know that show stopped because they had a fire. It burnt everything away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Terrible.
And you don't have mental illness because you know where to go, where the prices are super low on omnibus editions, collected editions, manga, everything. If it has a spine, you can find it at cheapgraphicnovels.com. Yep, cheapgraphicnovels.com. Everything much lower than you're going to get at Amazon. It's really crazy because they've become my first stop now. Because whenever it pops up in the previews, love the local guy, not dependable for second and third tier publisher collected editions. That's just a fact, right? So I have to resort to other means, and that other means is always cheapgraphicnovels.com because they have it less than Amazon. Like, I don't want to pay too much for this muffler, and I don't have to because I know that they'll have it for much less. Anyway, what you're going to do is you're going to place an order, and you're going to save. And after you're done smiling, ding, for the savings, you're going to get an email message saying, hey, thank you for ordering through us, cheapgraphicnovels.com. What you're going to do is you're going to reply to that email message saying, you know what? I heard about you on 11 O'Clock Comics. And they're going to say, well, pat, they're patting you on the head digitally. You are going to receive free shipping on your next order. That's crazy. Free shipping is ridiculous. It's a significant savings. So go to cheapgraphicnovels.com. I bet you come back with a boatload.
Facts.
Hashtag. It's true.
See? CGN, baby.
That's what it is in my bookmarks bar. It's called CGN.
Be.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I don't want to take up a whole freaking...
Damn right.
Right. I always abbreviate everything. I know what it is. There's the icons right there. I'm drinking.
Oh, do tell.
Yes. I have a trifecta of beer. The first one is from Yards Brewing Company. They're out of Philly. It's called High Dive Summer Pilsner. Okay. Then I have, again, from Yard's Brewing Company. Mm-hmm. It's really cool because the can is styled in the old Donkey Kong with the original Donkey Kong. It's
on just like Donkey Kong.
It is. With the angled green step tier things. You know what I mean? And the red ladders. So it looks just like Donkey Kong. And it's called Level Up, appropriately. But it is a tropical IPA. And then, bringing up the rear is the Voodoo Ranger. And that's New Belgium. And this is called Fruit Force. Fruit Punch IPA.
Sounds right up your alley.
Oh, dead center. It's in the strike zone. Yeah.
Can't hate enough of it.
I love it. There we go. So I'm drinking.
Nice. What you drinking, bud?
Drinking seltzer. Mandarin orange.
Stanley created a character before he died based on Jason called Mr. Excito.
Yes, sir.
Did someone in the bullpen create it? And then Stan...
Well, no, they didn't want to sink that deep. So they're just like, he's going to die. Let him have it.
Let him have one.
Sorry, I'm going to come down from seeing the Meg 2 last night.
Facetious? Because it looks like ridiculous.
Oh, no, we went to see it last night. Being serious. It's a horrible movie, but it was entertaining.
Well, that's what I like, kind of like Sharknado.
Yeah, I mean, I expected it to be a horrible movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Those
the first
movies
one was ridiculous. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Jesus. I just finished from Aspire Brewing all the way in Middletown, New York, which is kind of almost the middle between Vince and me. But this is Widmen. Widmen, German style Pilsner. It's 5.5 alcohol by volume. It is really, really good. You guys know my taste on beer. I'm not big on beer, but I'm glad I got this. I'm going definitely to get another 4-pack once it's gone.
I'm not surprised you like the Pilsners.
Yeah, the Pilsners, the Pale Ales, the lagers.
It doesn't have a bite like an IPA. Like that,
right.
that hoppy aftertaste that blankets your tongue when you got to do that. Pilsners don't have it. So.
But actually, from the same brewery, Arnie did grab one of their IPAs because he knows good beer. So
sure he does.
Yeah.
And tank tops.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the comics. That's why we're here.
What do we got?
I'm all over the map this week.
You are.
Nice.
I loved your list this week.
There's stuff. Yeah, it's just, and there's a lot of stuff that I didn't put on there that if you guys talk about it, mayhap I've read it. So
mayhap.
Yeah.
Mayhap.
Well, Jason, this is usually your slot.
It is. Oh, we're that structured, are we?
No, but you usually launch. This is how it works. Sorry you missed Tony last week.
Yeah, I know. Well, it seems
Did you
like
listen?
Tony only...
Did you listen?
No.
He was a happy man.
Should I have?
No, yeah. we had fun. We talked mostly about him. So his books, both of which were excellent. Did he send you the review copies?
Yeah, his email told us.
Yeah.
So there you go. Nice.
Dude, I have an Abrams-O-Rama.
Ooh.
How is that possible?
Right? Well, there's one book that you and I both read that we could talk about, but the other Abrams book that I have, very timely, because there's a little pop culture craze going on right now. You may have heard of it. It's called Barbenheimer.
Yeah.
So weird. Yeah.
You've heard of it, right?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, me too. I have not partaken yet. I've not seen either film. It's Barbie and Oppenheimer, but a lot of people are getting educated on the development of the atomic bomb thanks to Oppenheimer. And many months ago, I happened to order from Abrams a book that is about the very same thing. It's called The Bomb, as in Udabomb. The Bomb, the weapon that changed the world. It's by Didier Alcante, L.F. Bollée, and Denis Rogier. Yes, they are French. People couldn't gather that. This was a French bande dessinée that was done in 2020 and then brought here lovingly by Abrams and translated into the English this year. A beautiful hardcover. It is nearly 500 pages, and it is an incredibly comprehensive graphic novel adaptation of the history of the atomic bomb. And this isn't just about the Manhattan Projects, although that is a key part of it, as you might imagine. It goes all the way back to the earliest uses of uranium. In fact, the first narrator of the book is uranium, talking about sort of a meta narrator about people discovering it and what it's going to be used for. But it goes through the whole like early war efforts and the scientists, some of the Nobel laureates that had gotten excited about the possibility of fission and what that would mean and how dangerous it might be, so forth, so on, how they would be able to extract the different types of uranium from the more common type of uranium and how expensive it would be and where you could find it. And it just goes all through like the mining operations and how the U.S. procured the uranium and how all the different scientists sort of pairing up, and then how Fermi and his crew convinced everybody to stop sharing information with German scientists. It just goes all through, like, and there's all these parallel stories running. There's a story about Japan's role and they're getting pulled into the war effort and the kamikazes and Pearl Harbor, and it spans probably like I said, it starts way back conceptually, but the main chunk of the book probably takes place from like 1936, 37 all the way through us dropping the bomb. That's how the book ends. Spoilers. But the fascinating thing about this book, and I'm sure we've talked about this in the past, but I don't remember the last time we did. And this isn't limited to comics, but I'm sure we've all been around long enough. Can you think of times where you have experienced something and you fully recognize that it is an incredibly well done thing, but it just doesn't connect with you?
Yes.
Yeah, right. Like, and it could be TV, music, movies, whatever. That's what this was for me. Like, it was incredibly well done, and it's got a list of awards. Like, it won it on Angoulême, all these other. It's just, it cleaned up in Europe on the award circuit. It's a very incredibly well done book. The art is excellent because, there's a lot of likenesses. I couldn't really tell you honestly if the likenesses are how accurate they are. But like the few that I did know, like Einstein. I mean, obviously the looked good there. But one of the things that can happen with a bio or historical comic, right, is it can get pretty dry because they're just recounting history, and it's a lot of people. Especially in this case, it's a lot of people talking. But to their credit, they're very interesting panel layouts that play with the science and the war efforts and stuff. So it is definitely visually interesting. It doesn't get boring in that way. But read it, thought it was incredibly well done, a very detailed, comprehensive account of the whole journey through it. But I just didn't really care. Like, I didn't connect with it because I was a child of the 80s and we grew up in the nuclear arms race. So we were just inundated with the history of the nuclear weapons and how they were going to eradicate the Earth and mutual assured destruction and all that. I just don't care. Like, I just don't hold any. It's why I haven't really been interested in seeing Oppenheimer, even though I'm sure it's a great movie. I don't like it. Just doesn't really resonate with me. Like, I accept the importance of the history, and I can recognize that this is a very well done accounting of it, and I think they use the medium well. But just it just didn't it didn't really hit me.
I get it. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
It's a testament to your levels of perception that you could tell something is very well done and aesthetically on point, but it may not be speaking your dialect, right? So I don't think that's something to. I mean, I know you don't feel guilt, but I don't think that's something to walk away from the book thinking, man, it's not you. Everything is not tuned to our specific sensibilities.
And I pre-ordered this. I don't even remember, probably because it was Abrams, and I'm like, oh, this could be interesting. And then I was conscious of the fact I was reading it that if it wasn't for Oppenheimer being front and center in the culture right now, I probably would just let this collect dust in one of my piles and then give it away. I would have been like, oh, I'm not going to read that. Like it's about the atomic war, like bomb. I know all about it, but but like I said, but if any of our Patreon Slack crew listen to this and they're particularly interested in this part of history, just hit me up. First one to hit me up, I will mail it to you.
Oh, isn't that nice? Dap and I were speaking on something similar to this topic on the lead-in, and it was actually instigated by your new Skype avatar.
Do I have a new Skype avatar?
It's Stealth-Freeze Domino.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's just wrong. It doesn't feel correct to me because you've changed the Matt Kint one. And that, I mean, you should see that don't do it.
Kid Avengers.
Oh my God, she did it.
Of course.
Get off my desk. Go away. And so David's like, you don't like Stealth Freeze? I'm like, no, I that's exactly the point. I don't dislike Stealth Freeze, but his art doesn't really instigate any kind of passion within me. And I could say the same for like Gene Ha and a bunch of guys within that ultra realistic zone that, I mean, yeah, they're great at what they do, but it doesn't, if I was buying a regular series and either of those men did an issue, I'd be like, oh, okay, this is, nice. But if it continued, I would question whether or not to keep buying that book because, not because I dislike the art, but because it's not honed in on my frequency, right? Which not everything has to be. But for an ongoing, every single issue being done by someone whose art you're just like in the middle of the road on, then it's why keep buying it? Is what I'm saying.
All right.
Yeah,
but I'm not hating. I'm definitely not hating on Stealth Freeze. Which you will probably say, well, you hate Stealth Freeze anyway, so I don't. He's very good.
He is.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't make comics anymore, pretty much.
No, he doesn't. He's still, what is he doing, commissions and stuff?
Yeah, he does commissions and, paintings and stuff. Yeah.
That's smart.
Just does the con circuit.
Yeah. I don't blame him. If you can extract a comfortable living out of it, then why not?
Work smart, not hard.
Yeah. So the second half of the Abrams ComicArts-O-Rama, Jason and I both dove into the second volume of, I don't even know how to put this in the show notes because it's Simpsons Treehouse of Horror, Omnibus, my goodness, Ominous Omnibus, Deadtime Stories for Booze and Ghouls, Volume 2. I guess I should have put the Volume 2 after Simpsons Treehouse of Horror, Ominous Omnibus, Volume 2, blah, blah, blah. But whatever you call it, this book has presence, man. It is just the production values on this thing, like the first one. I think they even exceeded the first one with the second volume because it does have a slipcase like the first, complete with die cut cover.
The die cut's everything, dude.
I like the die cut a lot. I mean, I wouldn't call it everything, but
it's everything. The whole thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist without it.
But the slipcase is wonderful. It has wraparound art. It's beautiful. All your favorite characters inundated by the, skeletons and the dead. But the book itself is nuts.
Spot varnish, dude.
Yeah, spot varnish. And there's a plethora of characters on the cover, as there always is. But there's glow-in-the-dark applied to it.
Oh, you checked it is? I know you asked me. I didn't check.
I'm guessing. I'm looking at it, and there's only one way to tell, and that's to put the light out. But it looks and feels like glow in the dark to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'd hate to call it glow in the dark and have it not be, but there may be glow in the dark on the because who looks at a book in the dark? That's weird. What I wanted to say, the one thing that immediately jumped into my head when I looked at this book, and I'm just like, wow. Abrams is at Taschen level at this point. That's a pretty steep mountain to climb. And if I'm comparing you to Taschen, a publisher that I think makes the absolute best, most gorgeous books on the planet. Do you guys disagree with that? I think it's a fair thing to say. It's not. I'm not Mr. Hyperbolic here. Taschen makes beautiful books.
They do.
Yeah, for sure.
Abrams is like, they may be not at the peak of the mountain with Taschen, but they're damn close. Mm-hmm. And this book is just ridiculous.
Yep. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, it's one of those books where the shelf porn nerd in me would want to own it if I saw it, even if I didn't like the subject matter.
That's the thing. If you saw this book in the wild, and the bookseller was smart enough to free it from its slipcase, there's no way you can walk away from this book and not say, I need this. I need this book for my library, because it's just ridiculous. Not only the production values, but when you take into account the artists involved. That was one of the things that, I mean, back in the day, I was always preaching Simpsons, and I could tell the guys were like, yeah, okay, Simpsons. But
I remember how irate you got. You were like, why did you order this? You're not going to like it. The first volume, you were so apoplectic that I bought it. You were like, it's so stupid. Why did you buy it? You're going to hate it.
Number one, I don't think I sound like that, but
you're not that nasally. But
I wasn't irate. I was just a little bit baffled, because this is definitely not your thing.
And what happened?
You loved it so much.
That's right.
But anyway, back to the artists.
Mm-hmm.
It is an amazing assemblage of artists. Kyle Baker.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Dan Brereton.
I was just going to say, Brereton's Cthulhu story, one of my favorites in this volume, and I don't consider myself particularly a Brereton fan. I know he was in the first volume as well, but I thought that story really stood out to me in this volume.
Yeah, it is wonderful. The guy's just like ridiculous with the paint. Jim Woodring.
Yeah.
Sammy Harcum.
Mm-hmm.
Troy Nixie.
My boy, yep.
It's crazy. I got to give some love to Hillary. The Jaws story is ridiculous.
Yep.
He just
doing his thing.
He just wrangles light and shadow. Those inks are just gorgeous. So, I mean, Hillary's story is great.
Pia Guerra, Wild West Man. Pia Guerra.
Yeah. And a lot of these cats work within like most of them are on model, but a lot of them aren't. And I like the stories that definitely stray from the matte graining model sheet.
Mm-hmm. There's a manga-esque one. It's black and white. I forget who drew it, but I was like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah, and it's a pastiche of Death Note. It's
exactly. Yeah.
Nina Matsumoto. It's great. Yeah.
Now hold on, because they did a Death Note riff on one of the episodes. The Treehouse stories. They're not adapting the cartoons, are they?
More than often, no.
Story?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
But for the most part, I mean, it may be. I don't recall the specifics of the episode, but this book is ridiculous. Sammy Harcum,
Dude,
Ted
I thought
May.
they started it off straight, because I love the Rapture first story. I think is great, especially.
Okay.
What happened?
He fixed his audio issues.
Stop.
Oh, I'm on mute. Sorry. My bad. I don't know how that happened. No, really. Because I'm holding the book, I must have accidentally hit mute as I was holding the book. It's so damn heavy.
Happens, my dude.
My bad. Yeah. No, I was saying the Rapture story. It starts us off right, because I'm down for any good Rapture story, and then it was very clever how they, it wasn't the Rapture, it was actually an alien sweatshop, which, and at one point, like, I forget, one of the aliens is like, oh, forced labor is like the greatest invention of humankind.
Everybody's favorite rock and roll band Kiss makes an appearance, illustrated by Tone Rodriguez. They are. Just ask Gene. He'll tell you. Right? John Vermillion has a story in here. It's like it just keeps compounding. The stories are, if you've seen an episode of The Simpsons at any point within the, 67 years it's been on TV, you know what to expect. Very sarcastic, very acerbic. Scott Shaw, Dap, did a story. Yeah. And here's the weird thing. Like, I have all these issues. Peter Cooper, I have all these issues, and I cannot not buy this book.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, Miss Crabapple has a little nudity, almost, in the Jaws story.
It's interesting because for a lot of years of EOC, you would talk about this comic, The Treehouse of Horror, every year. I don't feel like you've done that in a long time, but you used to talk about them.
Yeah, they stopped publishing a while back.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. And I, as we know, I didn't read them, but so it's all de novo for me. But it's great. It's really well done. I mean, it like you said, it's. I know they're cherry picking, so inherently it will be better than average what was in it, I guess. But now we're 2 big volumes in, and I didn't discern any particular drop off in quality. It's not like I felt like they were doing the B-side cuts to make the second volume. I think it was just as good. So
right. Well, just a slight clarification: they are cherry picking for the volumes, but after the 3rd volume is published, you will have read every issue of Treehouse of Horror.
Okay. So they're just organizing it.
Yeah, they're shuffling the deck chairs, but you're still getting the whole book. Yeah.
Right.
Which is smart. And initially, listeners will remember I said, I don't really think it was a smart idea to mix this stuff up by theme. But now, in retrospect, there's going to be 3 volumes, and I will buy them all. So whatever. The stories aren't the issues aren't consecutive. But the one thing that I still think they should have done, and it may appear in the 3rd volume, who knows, you don't get the covers.
Right.
And I think that's ridiculous. Because the covers, in a lot of instances, weren't created by anyone who appeared inside the issue. Some were, some weren't. So to shuffle those people off to the side just because they did the cover, I don't think that's right. I mean, and the completist in me says, I want all of it. Even give me the ad pages and there weren't letters. I don't believe in Treehouse of Horror, but if there were, I would want them too. Right. So we got, in addition to all of the creators we mentioned, we have Terry Austin, Chuck Dixon's in here, Jerry Duggan. Let's see, someone we didn't mention, Kevin Huizenga. Mm-hmm. Ian Boothby.
I think I said before we started the proper app that Terry Moore is in here, but it was actually shockingly disappointing to me because it looked really strange. It looked very stiff.
Yes. James Robinson, Brian Posehn, Andrew. Did I say Andrew Pepoy? Phil Ortiz, Steve Niles, of course, and the omnipresent Bill Morrison.
I was going to say Morrison. I remember he's a staple. Yeah.
Yeah. John Kirschbaum, Peter Cooper, Carol Leigh. It's crazy. Ted May, who you may or may not know based on your involvement in the Comics Journal message boards. But this volume is, and it's not expensive. It's not expensive. What is it? $39.99.
$39.99.
It's stupid cheap for what you get.
It is cheap.
Dumb cheap. Yeah.
Yeah. So I loved it.
Same.
Yeah. Just go buy it because if you want to impress the ladies, all you got to do is whip out this big monster of a tome, complete with die-cut slipcase, and they'd be like, "Oh, you have obvious taste, my friend."
Do you mind if I dance with your date?
Take me to dinner. There you go. So yeah.
Take me to church.
I know who that is. Yeah, who is that?
Coldplay. No. Yeah.
I don't know.
No.
Yeah, Hosier.
I've heard this.
Wait,
song.
Hosier? What? Hey, take off Hosier?
Ladies and gentlemen, Hosier.
Wait, what?
No, it is.
Take off, eh?
For now until the end of time, it's Hosier. Let it go.
Hosier.
Don't look it up. I don't want to know.
Hoseur. No, Hozier. Hosier. It's.
It is. It's Hosier. Holy shit!
You.
I would have never known that. That's
Motherfuckers.
It's a one-hit wonder. I guess.
You got to get all Canadian racist. So, I have something.
Okay.
I had an inkling what it might be going in, but I wasn't sure because I was taking into account. I read some of the blurbs, and Eldritch was used in the blurb, and I'm like, And the name of the book is called "Where Black Stars Rise." I was like, interesting. This could be something, but I'm not going to prejudge. I'm just going to go in because it was written by Nadia Shammas, illustrated by Marie Enger, and it's a Tom Doherty Associates book.
Marie Enger, really?
Yes.
Yeah. That's one of Dave Jordan's good people. That's one of those people he was tables with at cons.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
It is a Tom Doherty Associates book. So it's the story. There are actually two stories interwoven, but one bubbles to the surface a bit more than the other. It is a tale of a Lebanese student therapist named Amal Robardin, and she's meeting with her very first client. Not a lot of experience. Smart, right? Book smart. Instructed in all the ways and means one deals with various emotional and problems. So, but she really, really wants to do a good job with her first patient. She needs to succeed at this because it's her first race. So she wants to at least show or maybe win, right? So she needs to succeed as a therapist. Only problem being that her first patient, one Yasmin Mofid, a 30-year-old grad student, she's getting her MFA in playwriting, and she does this blog about New York City experimental theater, and the woman uses writing as therapy. It makes sense. She contextualizes the world through writing. A lot of writers do that. Most do. And she's focused on metafiction. Loves the concept. Or in this case, meta-theater, right? Plays that are referenced in other works of fiction. That should be a huge clue where this is going. She starts to experience night terrors, this young lady, along with sleep paralysis. And she fixates on her door. And there's a little rambling aside initially about the door to her dorm, and she would fixate on the door, and it was open just a crack, and yellow light starts streaming into her bedroom. And this yellow light eventually is accompanied by a figure that walks to the foot of her bed, and Yasmin's like, wait a minute, I don't think the light is coming from behind, or she doesn't think the light is coming from without the figure. She thinks it's coming from within the figure, right? And the next day she walks into the hallway and the floor's all cracked and the light bulbs are shattered, and her mouth, she's got this weird taste of seawater in her mouth. So Amal, being the book smart therapist who hasn't had a real patient, does what she was trained to do. She goes through that mental list of all of the permutations of what could be causing this and how to deal with it. And she suggests possible explanations, all of which kind of offend and infuriate Yasmin, who has been in therapy for 10 years and is intimately familiar with herself and how her mind works. And she's like, it's not stress. These funny little lists and these worksheets that you're giving me aren't going to explain this. It's real. I'm telling you, it's not just real to me, but it's real in reality. Like, this is actually taking place.
Really real.
Yeah. And she's pissed.
It's for real, though.
Because Amal doesn't really listen to the words that are coming out of her mouth. She's present and she's hearing, but she's really not listening. She's like unintentionally dismissive, and she jumps to conclusions. So Yasmin will say something, and she's like scanning her brain for what could possibly be causing this. And she's not present. She's not actually immersing herself in this young lady's tale, right? She's resorting to traditional avenues of treatment. She's checking boxes. She's consulting notes. And in doing so, she's throwing up a clinical wall between her and Yasmin. And so Yasmin decides, fuck this. This dry brand of therapy, like, isn't helping. She just leaves. And then she goes missing. And Amal sinks into depression. And it's a clue to her character. She once told her partner Nia about Yasmin's theater blog. And so Amal's out of options, and her girlfriend Nia says, well, have you checked her blog? And Amal never even considered doing that. Like, it was a clue, an insight into the mindscape of her patient, and she never even considered to plumb that depth, right? It's just further evidence that Amal did not fully engage with her patient, right? So there's a problem. So they check the blog, and they find out that Yasmin was working on a play for this Brooklyn-based Tattered Players. And the Tattered Players season begins in Red Hook. That should ring a bell. And the work in question is called The King in Yellow. So all roads lead to Carcosa. This is steeped in Lovecraftian mythology. This is part of the mythos. I count this book now as part of that grand tapestry, that shared universe that Robert Chambers, author of The King in Yellow, instigated and Lovecraft perpetuated, right? Minus the racism and the misogyny. But it's wonderful. And I'm not going to go any further. I will say if you are attuned to the Lovecraftian stuff, you're going to love this. You're going to eat this shit up because it is really exceptionally well done. Marie Enger's work, they are in the Jim Mahfood school. So everything is super exaggerated, super distorted.
Yeah, very like angly, like sharp angles. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But if you thumb through this book, there's one color that leaps out, and it's perfect.
Pink?
Yellow. Yellow.
Oh, because I only asked you this pink because I haven't read this book, obviously, but I have a few of her work, and I have a commission from her, and she loves hot pink, but okay, that makes sense.
Thematically, it's perfect because The King in Yellow, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's creepy as hell. You get a little tour of a terrifying tour of Carcosa. It's just a really, really well done addition to the Lovecraftian mythology. I thought it was great. I didn't know going in, but I had clues once I saw that figure bathed in yellow, and I was like, wait a minute. And there are a lot of stars in this book, whether in the background or used as a design motif. Starry Wisdom, right? The yellow star is part of Chambers' King in Yellow. It's just wonderful. And I ate it up, and I read it twice. And I think the pages where they access the blog actually look like a scrolling web page. Really, really well done. But everything is hand lettered, so they didn't try to approximate the visuals of a web page. They did it through Enger's visual sensibility, hand lettering, imperfect lines. Loved it. That's the way it should be. One thing that bothers me in comics is when you see someone whip out a phone and they're doing something out of, and it's just a screen capture from a real phone conversation. Like, that bugs the shit out of me, because your external is your visual language, but that little pocket universe of the internet there is in the visuals that everybody sees. So how could that be? It doesn't make sense.
And how do we get our hands on this?
Well, it is from Tom Doherty and Associates. I'm guessing Amazon.
Yeah.
This book was given to me, so I don't exactly know where. I'm sure Amazon has it, right? Why don't you just fire that up while I finish this little investigation. But it's very claustrophobic, as it's like all of the words that you would use to describe any noteworthy work in the Lovecraftian vein. Claustrophobic. There are washes of surrealism through it. It has a shroud over all of the proceedings, and I don't want to say mental illness, but there are issues with the human mind in this. That's a big thing about in Lovecraft's work, right? Most of the protagonists end up crazy or dead. So to that mechanic or that chestnut where, you know, things may not be what they seem, but they could be, that's perfect. And that is one of the staples of HP. So it's a really great little book. It's not long, maybe 128, 138 pages around there. I don't know. But I just had an absolute wonderful.
Yeah, you get it on Amazon.
How much? Yeah, didn't hear that. You broke up.
$12.86.
Wow, worth it at twice the price. Yeah, it's great. It's really great. You should go get it. So where Black Stars Rise. Sorry, Nadia Shammas was the writer. Marie Enger illustrated it, and it's published by Tom Doherty Associates. Get it, get it, get it.
I dig it.
Yeah, and I like it when it's an all female production.
Yeah,
because don't want to get into gender roles, but I think the female mind is more in tune with subtlety. Don't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
I've had enough stories with Cthulhu running around with giant dick. I don't want to see it anymore. and HP, another staple of Lovecraft's work is that he didn't try to describe the indescribable. He just basically said it was indescribable and left it at that. And he left it to the reader to fill in the mental images of what he's talking about. That's great. That's Ridley Scott, right? Alien. We're not going to show this whole damn thing. Maybe we will at the end, but in the middle of the movie, you're not going to see too much of it because it's scarier not knowing exactly what it looks like than if we showed you a complete 360-degree rotation of this thing. So yeah, subtlety works well, works wonders, especially in horror.
That's true.
Yeah. There is one shot I'm really sick of. It's not in this book. It's not in this book. Being a horror fan, I can't stand it when one of the characters is front and center in the frame, maybe a little jack to the side, and they're or they're talking or they're trying to do something and something slowly rises behind them, that bugs the shit out of me. I don't know why. I don't know why, because I don't say everybody, but a lot of directors employ that. It's cheap. I guess it's effective, but it has stopped working on me. Does that give you any kind of chills when you see something rise in the background and the character doesn't know what's happening? You're just like, oh yeah, things behind her. Like in The Descent, when the girl's and the thing just kind of in the dark, and the light comes on, you see this thing behind her, like, okay, I don't know. I don't think it's scary. Maybe I'm just old and jaded.
Well, you're definitely jaded. It's yeah. I mean, it depends, but I can definitely I can appreciate the wanting of giving that a rest.
Yeah, if it's a stylistic thing that a lot of people use, after a while, when you see it, it's just like, oh, you went there. It's how about let's use a little bit of our creativity and trying to find a different way to create this scene.
Let's be scared with the character in the movie instead of us knowing something that the character doesn't know.
Right, but I mean, and in comics too. I mean, if something is displayed in sequentials, and we've seen it a gazillion times before, it's just like whatever. You're just telling me something I've already heard or seen. I don't want to see it again. And I guess you can't reinvent the wheel. Certain things work. I understand that. I don't even know where I'm going with this, but
just convention. It's fine.
Yeah, and it's not a problem. I'm just nothing is ever going to make me stop consuming horror movies or comics. So whatever, the joke's on me. But I just wish someone would ignite that creativity and try and find different visual ways to explore things that seemingly everybody does. And none of that is in this book, because I guarantee you that once you crack open Where Black Stars Rise, you're going to be like, this is different. I haven't seen a visual language exactly like this in my existence. It's very unique take. It's lovely.
Nice.
Yeah. Jason, you good?
Great.
Dab, what did you read?
I read the third part of the Materials trilogy. All the issues were released. The trade was hit the stands yesterday. I am talking about Plush by Doug Wagner, Daniel Hillyard, this time joined by Rico Renzi on colors, and your letterer, again, for the third time, is Ed Dukeshire. As we've enjoyed plastic and vinyl, Plush was another fun time. I think I just read it, so it's fresh with me, but it's kind of hard to top plastic, although vinyl came really close. I really, really like all the characters from vinyl. Plush skewed a little younger, but it was still extremely violent in a funny way. It's unlike the previous two books that I read as they were coming out. Plush, I read the trade. I read the first issue when Image sent it to us, but I sat on the remaining issues and reading the trade, and it, because the events all happened, all 5-6 issues happened over the course of probably a handful of hours. It reads better to me, as far as reading the story, enjoying the story. It's if we all read so many books, they come out every few weeks, depending on the type of story. They things may be forgotten. If I'm reading a monthly book and time is supposed to pass, then yeah, okay, that's deliberate and works with the storytelling. But there are some stories where if they are supposed to happen, they continue right from where the last issue left off, and barely minutes have passed. That real life time, if you don't have great recall or you haven't recently just read the previous issue, it can definitely play an effect on how I could appreciate the story. But this was a blast. I mean, Hillyard's art is still phenomenal. He and Rico work well together, but man, it's I do think there might be a slight connection to vinyl. I could just be reading into it, but the story starts off with us meeting Devin, who's basically a hopeless romantic. Story takes place down in Charleston, West Virginia, and he's kind of bummed because he's called off his engagement with his fiance, and all he's harping on is this ring that his grandmother gave him because it's supposed to be, it's special, it's supposed to mean something. He gives it to the woman he loves, and this chick ends up cheating on him, getting pregnant, and Devin's like, I can't, I'm done with this. And Devin's buddy Levi is sitting next to him in his furry suit, basically letting him know, yo, bro, Whitney was always a bitch. It's just, I'm glad you kind of finally see it, but it's I don't know how many different ways I could tell you this. And all Devin's is like, man, did I tell you that, Whitney hated this ring? She said she wanted something new. She didn't want anything from my dead grandmother. And he's like, yeah, okay, yeah, she was seriously a bitch. We need to get you out of the house. And you're coming with me. And they're going to a fur party. And even Devin is in this like funky green chicken suit. Levi is in a fox suit, and they're having fun at the party. And Levi's like, no, bro, I got you. I'm not going to leave you hanging. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. I got your back. And we get to a double page spread, and like Levi's just gone. He bounces. He's just doing his own thing. And before they go to the party, though, they down some shots, and it's called a buttery nipple, and Levi made it a little stronger than usual. So while they're at the party, Devin gets a little bit of a gurgle in his stomach and runs out to the alley and pukes behind a dumpster, basically kind of Levi roofied him. But he hears the jingle of a bell, like on a cat's collar. And he looks over and he sees 3 individuals basically just going all down, full cannibal on someone else in a fursuit. And Devin can't believe what he sees, and he's running out of the alley, runs right into a cop car that is that's being operated by the deputy. Deputy's name is Maerth, Maerth. And Devin is just completely pissed off that this person is in front of him. We don't know why yet until Devin says, "You ruined my life," and he's like, "Man, you're dressed up in a furry outfit. You're talking about cannibal furries. Man, you got to be. You must be high. The sheriff's going to love this." Turns out that Whitney, Devin's fiance, the person who impregnated her, is this deputy, and Whitney's father, Devin would-be father-in-law, is the sheriff. All the sheriff wants is to make his daughter happy, and marrying Devin for some reason would make her very happy. And the sheriff wants Whitney to marry Devin because Devin's family comes from money, and Sheriff Brotman just figures, I'm I'll be on Easy Street. They're my ticket. I'm going to be able to like run this town with their money, with my power. Everything's coming up me. So Devin's just like, no, man, fuck this. I'm not marrying your daughter. This dipshit is the one who impregnated her, and Mirtha's just sitting there like, oh, man, she hates condoms. And Brotman's like, bro, I don't know if you realize this, but you're in the evidence room. And Devin's like, man, is this for intimidation? He's like, no. I just want you to be aware that this room is filled with years of unsolved cases, murderers, rapists, pedophiles. And he's like, if you want to be unreasonable, if you want to turn down my daughter, if you do not want to marry her, then I'll just do whatever I have to put you away to keep her happy. And they're going to hold Devin overnight so he can dwell on this and make up his mind on whether or not he wants to actually spend his life in prison or marry a woman who he really doesn't love. So he's got to, Brotman's going to go out and hit up a country club. He's got to shake some babies, kiss some faces, and put in the work. No one's to touch Devin. And all the deputies are sitting around the precinct, the sheriff's office. And as soon as the sheriff walks out the door, Mirth puts the deputy in charge in handcuffs, ties him up to a chair, and the rest of them are going to go fuck with Devin. But apparently, instead of just shooting him to kill him, they're going to have some fun first, because they're going to make it look as though Camillo, the one the sheriff put in charge, he went to go check on Devin. Devin jumped him, took his gun, shot Camillo, and then deputies went in and in self-defense killed Devin. That's Mirth's plan. But while that's going on, the furries that Devin saw in the alley show up at the precinct. And this is where the first issue was a really fun setup, but after that we just kind of hit the ground running, and I'm not gonna avoid spoiling things, but our friendly furries are Keebler, who goes by Keebs. She's kind of the suit is basically like a chubby chick with duck lips. There's Edie, who's dressed up as a cat, and Edie and Devin, after he's done puking in the alley, Devin and Edie's eyes meet, and Bo, who's the third guy, he's wearing a goat outfit. He goes by Scratch. Bo and Keebler think it was love at first sight, so they went to the precinct to rescue Devin, because they just want everybody to be happy. And once Devin is freed, and also while they're freeing Devin, pretty much almost all of the deputies are maimed and killed, and of course that beautiful Hillyard graphic way. But we end up at a old mansion with some carnival rides in the backyard, and Devin and Edie are getting to know each other. The sheriff ends up tracking them down to this place. Devin's like, listen, I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go with the sheriff. You just leave everybody alone. Leave Keebler, leave Edie, especially Edie, leave Bo alone, leave everybody alone. I'm coming with you. I'll marry your daughter. We're done. They get back to the precinct, though. The sheriff basically lied. He's like, listen, I can't have a bunch of furries like killing my deputies. So we're going to head back to the mansion. You just stay here and think about what you did. And then basically things do not go the way they planned. And it's no secret that I dislike bullies with a huge passion. And one of my favorite things about stories is seeing the Bollée get what's coming to them, and I so enjoy the stories that Doug Wagner tells, because they the topics or the subject matter within those stories, they might not necessarily have been something that I was looking for, but the outcome is definitely there. It might be predictable. You might just know that the guy you're rooting for is probably going to come out on top. Might not come out fully whole by the time the story is done, and there's going to be some drama along the way. But chances are, if you've read Plastic, if you've read Vinyl, you kind of know how things are going to end up for the people involved here. But it's when it comes to this trilogy, it's all about the journey for me. I like I said, I know where we're going. Destination is pretty much a foregone conclusion, but how we get there is what I'm paying to see, and it's a hell of a ride. It's just been I had an absolute blast with this one. It's a little bit more, probably a little bit. The humor might be here a little more than it was on the previous two books, especially with the expressions on the on Keebler's face with the duck lips. But it's a lot of fun. And again, though, I mean, the art absolutely makes it. If anybody else drew this, I don't know how I'd feel about it. It's just Wagner's words, the story he's telling, the way Hillyard draws it. It really is. They're a great match. I know this was apparently, according to the back page anyway, this was a trilogy. I really hope they work together, even if it's not necessarily something about a serial killer or cannibals. I want to see more work from these two. It's a ton of fun, and friend of the show, Tony Fleece did variant covers for every issue, and they're in the back of the trade, and it's so good. I said, I mean, if you've read either of the previous two stories, you'll know what you get here. And the reason why I say that I think there's a connection to Vinyl, Edie has a charm around her neck. It's a sunflower, and basically it's there's her father, Edie's father, although fathers should kind of be in air quotes, because Bo is telling Devin that when they keep talking about our father, Devin's like, okay, so y'all are related. But then Bo drops Edie's mother. He's like, wait, so it's your half sister? Like, you got different mothers? And he's like, well, and we're not sure if Dad rescued these kids or kidnapped them. And basically, we don't know how they became cannibals and why Bo only tries to eat vegans or vegetarians. But Edie's wearing a sunflower charm, and her father gave it to her when he rescued her. But there's a story that goes along with it, and I want to go back now and reread Vinyl to see if there is a connection. I don't really remember picking up on or even looking for a connection between Vinyl and Plastic, but I don't know if these stories are kind of all in a connecting universe. It whether they are or not, it doesn't matter, but it for someone who might be looking for Easter eggs or things like that, I don't know if it's there. If we ever do get to have Doug on the show, I might ask him, but it's just, I just read Plush. This was, as long as you're not squeamish, which I don't think most of our friends are, but I can't stop looking at the art. That's amazing, especially when Keebler picks up the ring and she's looking at just her big round head. Just it kills me. But yeah, I just want people to read Plush. That would probably be. It might be close to if I borrow Jason's best thing I read this week. This might be it. But yeah, I had a blast with it. That's it.
Nice. I feel like we got to get Wagner on the show.
We do. I think I still have his card somewhere, or at least his email. But yeah, I'll reach out again.
Nice. Y'all love that mofo.
Yep.
Jason,
what?
What are you laughing at?
You love that mofo.
Fans, I want to know. How many weeks. You used to give me grief for keeping stuff on the itinerary. Mm-hmm. You used to be like, "Oh, I keep it on there." Pirate Girl on your list for like 2 months.
Cursed Pirate Girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was waiting for a moment where, I don't know, I could insert it into the conversation without saying, "Hey, remember that thing that came out like 15 years ago?"
After CGS was doing Super Show, yeah.
Right. I have all of the single issues. I have all of the collections. And one of our Slack family, Mitchell, offered it to me in a deal, and I'm just like, I didn't have the latest collection of it. So I just reread it when I got it, and it amazes me that a human being has the energy to lay down this many lines. The work is just ridiculously detailed in old Drurer printmaking style. Like, it is just insanely dense with line work. There not only is there a lot of lines that detail the events, there's a lot of different things going on in every one of the panels. And I was like, knowing the average time a reader spends on any given panel, you gotta wonder, how much return on his physical, mental, creative investment did Jeremy Bastain think he was going to get? Right? I mean, it's one of those books where you drop it on someone and they look at it and it's like, holy God, this book is just gorgeous. It's amazing. But the average reader is just going to read it, right? And not really immerse themselves in everything that's going on in every panel. I did. It took me forever to read this thing. And it's not even the whole story. It's like, I think the first maybe 4 or 6 issues. And time-wise, I spent an inordinate amount of time just wrapping myself in this world that he's created, because there's a lot of toil and just process and creation within these panels. You guys have both read this, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
How do you describe this artwork to someone who hasn't seen it? To say it's detailed, I think, is an understatement.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, I remember thinking it was like Scrimshaw, like that kind of thing. I mean, it was so super detailed in black and white.
It's meticulously, yes.
Yeah.
And the story, I think, is wonderfully simple. It's a young girl who believes to be the daughter of a famous pirate captain, and just throws caution to the wind and goes out to seek her father. Unfortunately, the young girl, the Cursed Pirate Girl, attracts the attention of the daughter of a local governor, and the governor does not like the effects that Cursed Pirate Girl has on his daughter. So he has her, quote, killed. Sends one of his thugs out to kill her. And she's not killed, but it just instigates this grand adventure where this young girl, alone in most cases, goes out on the waters in search of her father, and it's crazy. It's been compared to Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland for, I mean, just reasons. It does have that off-kilter, malleable or fluid reality type within the. I mean, characters have giant heads. There are talking animals in the book. and it's crazy. But it just, being a creative person and seeing the levels that Bastian has gone to just make this thing that was in his head real. I cannot find language to adequately describe what, and I think that's good, right? That a piece of creation pushes you into an area where you don't have the facility, you don't have the words to accurately describe it. That, to me, that means like, wow, this is something, one, I don't encounter every day. Two, it's its own universe. It's its own thing. Because if I can't compare, I could make a list of the classicists that this work reminds me of, but in comics, like, there's nothing out there like this. Absolutely nothing. And it's an experience. And I think if you haven't read Jeremy Bastien's Cursed Pirate Girl, I think you really should. Because it is just, and it is a singular experience. You're not going to ever come across anything that even approximates what this does, I guess. I think that's pretty safe to say. The ships, ridiculous. Every plank, every piece of wood, the rope, the masts, the sails, just and nothing is pristine in Cursed Pirate Girl's world. Even those the affluent characters, and there's all finery within the governor's place. There's an undercurrent of like entropy to the work, where he renders things not in a perfect state, but they have existed for some time, and the effects of time are apparent on these things. And the characters are crazy. Just, again, to render water is a real pain in the ass, but it doesn't seem to be to Jeremy Bastien. And I remember this was like the everybody back in the day when this was coming out. Even Chris, I think Chris was like super hot on this book.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And so I got on it early. I have all of and some of the original singles are numbered, right? The print runs were relatively low where they could release numbered editions of them. And it's like, holy crap, why aren't more people talking about this? This is like, to come out of the gate, like, I haven't heard of Jeremy Bastien doing anything other than Cursed Pirate Girl. Maybe that's on me. But at the time, I was like, who is this guy? And how do you produce a work like this fresh out of, like, it doesn't register. Like, this is something that I would expect from somebody that's been making comics for decades, 30, 40, 50 years. It is incredibly produced. Again, words fail. You don't know. You won't know what I'm speaking about unless you actually experience Cursed Pirate Girl for yourself. There's really nothing out there like it. Maybe to say Mike Kaluda's early work it's not. So I erased that. I can't find. There's a little bit of Al Williamson in this, but not. Right? You could see maybe the threads trailing off into the guys that have done it before, but it's its own thing. Bastien seems to have taken whatever he experienced in life and filtered it through this little thing that's uniquely him. And it's just, there's that word, ridiculous. It really is. And I'm at a loss of a word that could accurately describe this book. Mm-hmm. It's phenomenal.
Well, it's interesting because Bastien hasn't made a comic since this.
How do you top? I mean, I don't think the goal is to top your previous work. I would hope. Maybe it is. If you aspire to anything greater than what you've done, then yeah. But I could completely understand having produced Cursed Pirate Girl and be like, I'm good. Like, what does Dave Sim do after Cerebus? Garbage. Right? But if Dave Sim stopped after Cerebus and never did a cut and paste comic filtered through his ridiculous social and political views, then he would be regarded as one of the true masters of the craft. I think what he's doing now is kind of sullying the achievement of Cerebus, because now he's a joke. By and large, Dave Sim is a joke. Yeah. But he was a player back in the day. This guy created 300 issues. Again, one could see that kind of Dave Sim, Gerhard sensibility in Jeremy Bastain's work. Compounded. It's even more intense. But I don't know. Like to learn that he hasn't made anything other than this, that makes total sense to me. Stage fright, maybe it's performance anxiety. I don't know. I mean,
it's hard for me to buy into the Sim comparison, because, like you said, Sim was 300 issues of brilliance. I mean,
let's go 230 issues.
No, okay, fair enough. My point is 300 issues, much of which was brilliant.
Right.
Bastian made one comic, and again, it's super intricate and it's memorable and it stands the test of time. But it is curious. He has almost no presence on the internet. He still does cons, but he hasn't. I don't think he's created anything, at least for public consumption, since 2009, which is pretty remarkable.
But let's look at it. I'm guessing the level of his involvement in producing this material was probably exceedingly high. It probably took a stupid amount of time to actually render, right? Then, going in, you're doing character designs, you're writing the story, you're researching all of the associated time-specific bric-a-brac, era-specific bric-a-brac in the book. Like, I'm guessing this book took him a mountain of time to produce. And I'm also assuming that the returns on all that investment weren't exceedingly high. So he probably thought, all that creative energy I put into this thing, and this is what I got. He probably made money on it. I'm hoping he made money on it, but I'm guessing that it didn't break the bank, which is sad, right? Because everybody was talking about it, but that doesn't actually translate into high sales. So yeah. I don't know. I mean, maybe this is a cause. Like, let's get this guy on here. Let's talk to him. Because if there's anybody whose brain I would love to crack open and jump into, it's Jeremy Bastian. Like, I want to know what he put into this work.
I want to know.
But it's kind of irrelevant, right? When the work is of this caliber and you look at it and you're just like, all of the stuff you put into this, I don't need to know. I can assume, but all I need to experience is the work. And man, the work is just... It's not next level. It's like 100 levels above next level. It's just exceedingly beautiful and intricate and deep, and it's perfect. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Thanks for bringing it up, chump. What did you? Oh God, she just laid a turd. That is disgusting.
Woo!
What did you read, Jason?
Lovely.
Yes.
Like I said, the two Abrams books were the big ones for me this week, really. I mean, those are pretty big tomes. So, the only other thing I think that kind of curled my toes a bit recently was the Nightclub, which we talked about the first issue some time ago when it came out, and I had just let the book stack up, but I finally finished it up. It's Mark Miller, for those who don't remember. Mark Miller, and art by Juan Ramirez, and the premise is: what if vampires were superheroes? Basically, a young high school kid he's nearly dead in a hospital, and a vampire shows up and turns him into a vampire to save his life, under the auspice of he's recruiting an army to fight a big fight he's got coming up, and the kid's like full on Peter Parker's like Spider-Man. He feels great. He's a happy-go-lucky kid. He kind of against type, because, which I really enjoyed. Instead of like being morose bloodlust, woe is me, emo vampire, he is, oh shit, this is great. Like, I'm a superhero. Like, I'm just going to go and be a superhero and save the world. And he recruits his two best friends. So it'd be like, what if Miles Morales got Genki and a female friend to give if he could give them powers too. And he gets his buddies and he's like, hey, I'm gonna turn you into vampires too, and we can be heroes together. And they're like, all right, bet. And he does that, and like it's all fun. Like they're wearing lucha masks and costumes, and they're going around saving the world. They're making some money because like companies are paying them to like get stolen goods back and this stuff. Like, and they're just having a blast, and they're putting it all on social media. And unfortunately, their mistake is that they're putting it on social media because the dude that made him, his sire, sees this and is like, oh hell no. And it looks like his sire is actually with a crew of baddies, like really bad vampires after all. But it turns out his sire, who's a cop, is like a vampire vice cop. Like he's deep undercover with this bad crew trying to upend them. And he's making other vampires because he needs a bunch of vampires because these are like the people he's running with are old and very powerful. So he's trying to create like morally good people and give them power so they can fight this fight. And that's it's like Mighty Miller stories. It's pretty simple, straightforward. It has an arc, but it leaves itself open for subsequent volumes. And I thought it was great. Like it just had a fun teenage superhero vibe. Where like they adore their powers, like they adore that they can turn into mist and turn into bats, and it's just an interesting little twist, and pretty sure that they in some way are going to appear in the event that he's doing right now. We didn't see him in the first issue, but I think I remember the solicit mentioning this, so yeah, I guess they do make an appearance at some point. So yeah, it's fun stuff.
Yeah, it's done, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I got to read it.
5 issues.
Yeah. Insane.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Mm-hmm. If you told me again that I'd be jonesing for Miller's shared universe, I'd be like, what? No.
Yeah. I'm sorry. 6. It's 6 issues. It's not 5. It's 6. But it is done. Yeah. Finished in July.
I'm on it. I'm getting on it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have something that I've been dragging along my read list, and it's not so much an examination of the content of the books. It's a more a take on the way these books were perceived and the legal troubles this person got into for producing them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm talking about Mike Diana and Boiled Angel. Jason, you familiar with this?
No, can't say that I am.
Well,
the CBG articles.
Yeah, I'm not going to go deep, I'm not. I'm just going to touch upon the content. But Mike Diana was an artist who reveled in the grotesque. His artwork is very exaggerated, very expressionistic, very distorted, and he touched upon themes and subjects and events that the general public would pretty much find distasteful. The books are littered with dismembered bodies, dismembered genitalia. He thinks that the penis has a bone in it, which I find is hysterical. A lot of murder, a lot of explicit sex. But they are cartoons, right? They're just drawings. And
just drawings.
They're just drawings. They're make-believe, no children, pets. People were harmed and or murdered in the making of these comics. They're just flights of fancy by a creative person with a pencil and something with which to ink, right? It was an anthology. So Mike Diana is not the only artist in the book, but he published the book. Small press. I would guess that if he sold 500, 600 copies of each issue, it was a lot. And problem is that I'm like around 91. Now Diana lives in Florida, or lived in Florida until he moved to New York. So he's living in Florida, and a law officer came into the possession of one of the comics, and he thought that some of the murders in the comic were eerily similar to a case in Gainesville, a couple student murders, and he's like, this is kind of similar. Didn't help matters that the person that actually one of the people that they liked for the crime had Boiled Angel in their possession. So Diana was tried for obscenity, brought to trial on the grounds of his work was obscene, and he was convicted. He is, I guess at the time, or maybe still, the only artist in America that was ever convicted of obscenity. Yeah, and I find it ridiculous, ironic, and hilarious that now there are collections of Boiled Angel available, and you can buy them. Like there's no dark web trading of Mike Diana's comics, or they're published, and you can get them if you want them. Regularly sold and traded. So like this case and the legal ramifications of such disrupted his life. Like the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund came to his rescue and I guess paid for his legal bills. But he moved out of Florida and bared the brunt of this like stigma. Whenever you think of really over the top transgressive comics, Boiled Angel's usually in the top 5, top 3. Okay, yeah. Again, I'm not going to go into what actually happens in the book, but a typical Boiled Angel story by Mike Diana is something along the lines of guy adopts a kid, plays it up for the social worker, takes the kid as a slave because he has sex with babies and uses their corpses.
Oh boy.
No, really. And uses their corpses to fuel his pet food machine. And so yeah, there's that. And it's all fiction. It's not real. No babies were molested or killed or thrown into a pet food grinding machine. It's just one guy working out whatever demons he has on a piece of paper. And yet these people thought that, and the jury believed that it was obscene. And it's something that doesn't register to me. Like, again, we always talk about hentai and how the majority of the participants in these comics are underage. Well, they're not underage. They have no age. They're not real, right? They're not children. They're not adolescents. They're lines on paper. Yes, they are delineated to appear like children, but no one was harmed. And I don't buy the whole thing that's, the whole Ozzy Osbourne, well, you sang a song about suicide. This kid's committed suicide listening to your song, so therefore you are complicit in this child's suicide. That's not how it works. I don't think, I'm guessing that not anyone read Boiled Angel, went out and duplicated the events within the comic, because number one, it's pretty much impossible. Two, it's all make-believe. And I think that the average person interested in this stuff would look at it and be like, wow, this guy's off his rocker. Like, this stuff is fucked up. It's crazy. But, and maybe not explicitly said, but it's not real. It's make-believe. And yet this guy's life was borderline ruined by someone who thought that this print publication went against their moral and spiritual and other kind of beliefs. Like, that's, to me, is very scary. Mm-hmm. That it happened then, but now it's almost ridiculous to me that this stuff is widely available. So yeah. What did it amount to? You've ruined this guy's life for what? I don't know. I find it fascinating that art could elicit such strong reaction from someone when all they have to do is take a minute and say, it's not real? Do you think rabbits and ducks were shot at by a hunter with a speech impediment? Like, no, it's fake. It's all fake. It never happened. It's just entertainment. I mean, such as it is. Yeah, and this stuff is, I don't want to call it offensive because it doesn't offend me, but I can imagine if you pass this around at the church social club, you may you may have a lot of people dropping. But that's the intent, right? He intended to offend. He intended to make people question their sensibilities or turn away in revulsion, whatever he wanted. I can't speak for the dude, but there was a goal, right? You don't publish comics about dudes getting their dick chopped off and then someone else using it on somebody. Like, you don't do that stuff randomly. There's a calculated agenda here, right? And it's to either purge these crazy ass notions that you have in your head, or these flights of surreal, barbaric, anti-human fantasies. But in the end, it all amounts to nothing because it's not real. So I'm just wondering, like, where do you guys, I mean, I think I know, knowing you so well, but where do you guys stand on this? Do you actually perceive this work as being obscene, or you just like, yeah, no, the dude has a right to express himself in this manner, but not for me.
I'm sitting right next to like all 5 or 6 volumes of Prison Pit. We've read, countless underground books over the years. It's any of us would order things from Fantagraphics. It's there's nothing. I'm even as young as I was when these events were happening. I was angry then because it's there wasn't. It was a kid that for the book, but it was behind the counter. I think it's not like the kid could go into the shop and just get it off the shelf. So it was for adults. It wasn't intended for children, and it's either the fault of the retailer, unless it was a sting operation. But I don't think artist objective. We just got done talking about how we feel about Brian Stelfreeze or Gene Ha. It bothers me that someone or a group of someone's could determine that because in their mind it's offensive and obscene, then it must be that way for everybody. And right. that pisses me off beyond belief.
Well, we see that today with the book banners.
Yes, we do. Yep.
And that's even more extreme because at least in Diana's case, there was a visual component. A book is just words.
Whatever's in your head. Now, so who's it on then? Is it on the writer or is it on you as the reader? It's like, bro, no one takes.
Ways to cut it this, right? Like the definition of obscene, what you're describing is obscene, right? Now, do I think the definition of obscene should have any legal enforceable use? No, I don't. Right? Like, but the definition of obscene is offensive, rude, or shocking, right? Like, okay, so that is likely offensive, rude, or shocking to quite a few people. So it sounds obscene. I haven't read it, so I can't speak to it directly, but the way you describe it sounds obscene to me based on the definition. But do I think that definition should have any weight as to someone's ability to make a living or express themselves or stay out of prison? No, I don't when it comes to art. Now, as you're describing it, it sounds completely unappealing to me. A depiction of children getting sexually assaulted that to me is repulsive and repugnant, and it does leave me wondering why anyone would find that engaging in any way. I would side eye you. Like, it makes me want to side eye you for why that would entertain you. Like, that's really hard for me to fathom, but that said, again, I think there's a difference between whether I'm going to be like, you're out of your mind for thinking that's interesting, to that I think the dude should go to prison. I think they're very different things. So I think people should be able to express themselves in any way that doesn't do harm to other people, even if I may personally think it makes them batshit crazy. So that's kind of where I stand on this. Like, this sounds completely unappealing, and beyond like it's not for me. More like I would definitely wonder what someone finds appealing about that and what it says about them. But that being said, again, like, to be clear, I mean, we have all talked very well. I don't remember Daph's stance on it, but you and I have talked very much positively about like Red Room, and that's incredibly gory, explicit torture porn, right? So like, I'm not trying to take like moral high ground here, but there are everyone has different levers, and we've talked about this before, like killing at, like when you start talking about the depiction of children being hurt, tortured, sexually assaulted, like that is just repugnant to me. Like I don't. Well,
that's exactly why he did it.
No, I understand, but I'm saying I personally can take the value in that to the point where I wouldn't want to hang out with this guy. Like I'd be like, this guy's fucked up. I don't like. But again, that is very different than me thinking he doesn't have a right to do it, and I certainly don't think he should be persecuted by the law for it. That's all. So,
but there, I mean, so you take a book that was published maybe 4 years, maybe more prior to Boiled Angel, and it's Faust.
Yep, which is a collection is in the this month's previews.
Yeah, and I don't remember much. I mean, because they were smart enough to publish the issues bagged, right?
Yeah.
And with that really cool half cover flap over some parts of the cover. But I don't remember Faust or Quinn and Vigil ever having the kind of legal troubles that Mike Diana did. And you can find a lot of stuff in Faust that runs tandem to the stuff that's in Boiled Angel. So I guess it's another one of those depictions of the Mike Diana's visual style is offensive. It's it's rough, it's scratchy, it's exaggerated. I mean, the children look like homunculi; they don't look like babies, but they're supposed to be babies, right? It's outsider art filtered through a very grotesque, dark lens, and it's scary. I can understand his artwork scaring someone, even the non-explicit stuff, challenging a person's sensibility. So I think he was working from, I mean, that was a layer of repulsiveness on the top. Then you get the subject matter, which, it goes there. And the stuff that I'm attracted to in his books, not so much the events themselves, but the fact that he had the balls to do it. Mm-hmm. That to me is like you have a weapon in your hand and it's artistic expression and you chose to wield it like this. Like that fascinates me. Where Quinn and Vigil stuff is elegant. It's also repulsive and disturbing, but there's an elegance to it. There's no elegance in Diana's work. It is back alley, dead carcass, maggots, all that stuff. And that is, you know me, I don't enjoy seeing children, but they're not children. They're just lines in the shape of children. So I'm more concerned with the fact that he had the gumption and the brasserie, I guess, the brass balls to just do it. And just purge whatever it is. Yeah, I got a question, but I mean, I've talked to the guy. He didn't seem too far off. No more so than myself. I don't know what that says to you or whatever. But I admire the fact that he had something he wanted to commit to paper, and he did it.
Yeah.
He got a whole lot of trouble for it, but yeah. I mean, that's a badge of honor. The only artist in America ever to be convicted for obscenity. I would get patches made of that and put it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm sure you noticed, but Serrano, this not like a month or two ago, actually met with the Pope, and the Pope blessed him. And I'm thinking, like,
what's that worth?
That does. What's that?
What's that worth?
What?
That some man
to Serrano everything. Serrano's a lifelong Catholic.
Well, there you go.
No, so that's my point. Now, for those that don't know what I'm talking about, Andre Serrano he did a series of art pieces, but most famously Piss Christ, which was it was I'm telling for the audience. I'm sure a lot of people know who we're talking about. And this is back in the 80s, and it was a depiction of Christ on the crucifix, very common depiction, submerged in a substance which then became understood as to be Serrano's own urine, and it was just at the time like wildly incendiary. Like everybody wanted this guy, brought up in effigy, and just there was just so much hate for him. And I shudder to think what it would be like in today's world with social media, but because it was all pre-social media. But anyway, and at the time, Serrano was like, I didn't mean anything by it. Like I'm a lifelong Catholic. Like I'm not. This was not meant to be blasphemous. Whether that was true or not, or he was being cheeky, I don't know. But I did find it interesting because I remember a few months ago that, like I said, he and a bunch of other alternative artists met with the current Pope at the Vatican to basically accept that the idea of supporting art should be very open and broad. It should, and I bring it up because, I mean, one could argue, I think quite credibly, that few human institutions on the planet have ever been more supportive of art than the Vatican. The Vatican itself is full of art. It's arguably the greatest museum in the world. Certainly one of the, if you don't want to say it's the best, it's certainly one of the best. And it's all, basically non-Italian Renaissance art. It's art from all over the world. But anyway, it's certainly to have the Pope bring people like Serrano and a bunch of other very alternative, edgy artists in and say, no, supporting art is supporting art. Like I think you should have the right to make the art, without any repercussion. Like that's pretty amazing. Like, I mean, and again, like I don't put any, like the Pope doesn't mean anything to me. Like he's not a figure of importance or leadership to me, but he is still the titular, voice of the largest religion in the world. And a lot of people do view the Pope as like an incredibly important voice. And for this guy to bring in someone like Serrano with Piss Christ and say, not only like, okay, cool, but like, I mean, you should have the right to make this stuff, and I'm cool with it. Like, that is my point being, like, the world does evolve in what we consider tolerable and intolerable. Like, it goes both ways, right?
Right.
And I think in my perfect world, we would continue to evolve where things are tolerable. And on an individual basis, if anything doesn't work for you, hey, that's you. Like, everyone has just as much right to find something unappealing as they do appealing. Like I don't feel like it's my place to tell someone what they should like just as much as what they shouldn't like. But I think that like we do have to remember that like times do change. Right? Like think of we talk about this all the time. Like think of all the things in like stand-up comedy acts that we laughed at different points of our lives that now would like be completely untenable. Like Eddie, like we've talked about, like Eddie Murphy couldn't do Raw in today's day and age. Like he couldn't make that. Like, it just wouldn't.
Right.
Wouldn't
it's not appropriate, but it's still funny.
No. But that's my point. Like
right.
so but that tapestry of what's acceptable and not on some moral level or society all the time, right? Like, I mean, Christ, our country exists because of that, right? Like because people wanted to things and they weren't allowed to believe them and where they were, so they came here, like, but then the irony is then we ransacked all the indigenous people who lived here to like have those, like, it's like
there you
the
go.
World's just the world is an ugly, complicated place. And so again, like, all I can say is this doesn't sound in anything I'd be interested in reading, but I absolutely think he should have the right to make it. People should have the right to read it if they want, and he should suffer no consequences of it.
Well, there you go. Right. And I'm on the page with you there. From my perspective, if your shield, and we all carry them for whatever reasons, religious, political, moral, whatever, if your shield is dinged or broken by something that is make-believe, then I got a question. You have to wonder that, number one, is it worth carrying that shield, number one, to begin with? But also, your sensibilities are harmed that easily, I think you need to examine them. Right? Mm-hmm. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that.
I just don't think that a person should be in fear of expressing themselves because of social or whatever ramifications. Now, I got to admit, the Vatican is much more progressive now than it's ever been. Like, look at the whole Grush testimony. Like, the Vatican had admitted they leave the door open for possibility of beings other than ourselves existing in this world. They were burning women a couple of 100 years ago, burning women at the stake for fear of them being witches, and now they're admitting that it's fine to believe that God has created a multitude of life forms, not necessarily in His image, but just created. So we get it. That's wonderful, but I think they have a lot to atone for all those friggin' holy wars. But whatever. Mm-hmm. There's not many things that come across my field of vision that incite me to the point of I guess action. I'm not in love with the content of Boiled Angel, but I am in love with the message of it. Mm-hmm. And I have these issues, and I wouldn't trade them for anything. Would I show them? Would I show them to my wife and kids?
Right.
Yeah, I would, and I would just stress the notion that none of this exists other than on this little pulpy medium here. So, you either take it or you don't. Process it or walk away. I don't know, but I don't think that lives should be ruined for the sake of artistic expression or because of artistic expression. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Big facts.
Yeah. Huge facts. All right. Do we have anything else?
Massive facts.
Before we move the F on?
No, that was a good discussion, though. Oh, it was absolutely good discussion. What do you think of Ronin book 2, number 3, Vince?
Oof.
Yeah, okay. Well, these are very perilous waters for me. Because, yeah. I love it. I will say that Frank can do no wrong in my mind. Whatever Frank wants to write, Frank writes.
Living his best life.
No matter how many times Frank wants to write it on the same page.
Yeah, that's the problem. For everyone who's playing at home, Ronin Book 2 is a continuation of Frank's masterwork, Ronin. And it's where the lens of the first Ronin was macro. It encompassed the world and how it worked and the characters in it. Ronin Book 2 is very much micro, where it's Billy and his mom, Casey, and the revived, reconstructed, reborn warrior from the original. I think the artist. See, this is a cop out.
You just can't. You are incapable of saying that Frank Miller made a bad comic book. Like, you just cannot.
Well, it's
cannot come out of your mouth.
It's not bad per se. It's just Phillips. I think Tan's artwork is spectacular.
The art is
Frank.
You love the Tan.
Yeah.
No, but Casey is fetching. She has a vision on the page, but it is. I do like the art a lot. It's a beautiful and coherent. I know he's coming back. He's supposedly drawing the 4th issue. Frank is. Yeah, it's in previews.
Damn.
It's either the next issue or the issue after, but yes, he is writing and drawing that issue, it says, according to previews. But I don't know if that means it's a continuation of this issue, or if it's just someone. Because even in the back matter, you get back matter in the third issue, and you get Frank's pencils for his layouts, and it's not bad at all. I like these roughs.
Because the roughs are not too far removed from his finished these days.
But it looks better than I think what the mini comics from DK3 gave us. Again, I know the colors didn't help at all, but or his recent new covers for some of the Marvel books that he's got coming out.
I blame Alex Sinclair for that. I don't think. I
don't disagree. So the layouts, the breakdowns were really nice. But no, I mean, Tan and Henriquez, they're doing a great job of making pretty pictures out of whatever Frank is writing, and I'm buying it. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, you are.
I am, and listen, I'm a comic book fan. I've been a sucker many times over, and I have.
Dude, we should get. Can we get T-shirts of that and wear it to New York? That's what I feel like being a comic book fan is like. We get duped a lot. You're like, okay, there we go again.
Back at it. I think so. I'm reading it as the issues come out, but because the issues come out, so I mean, I don't want to say infrequently, like they're behind schedule. It's a bi-monthly-ish book, so it's. I'm going to reread it when it's done, and just to see if there's a thread. I can
you almost have to,
because it's got to make sense if you get to read it, as just a complete story without having to wait to see what's next. I mean, I haven't forgotten anything that happened in the previous issue, because again, that was just it was a massive long fight scene, and it's just, yes, I don't think even I'd love to see what Frank says about this volume of this series. I don't know. I haven't gone looking, but I don't know if anybody has tried to say the story thus far with these 3 issues we've been shown so far. It's really difficult. I mean,
it's ambiguous. I think there's a lot of intentional ambiguity in it. And the last issue, what was it, 3?
Yes.
It is just Virgo trying to assimilate the Ronin and him fighting back. That's the entire issue. And it's just a one-on-one where, like, it repeats itself a lot. And
which is great for John Workman. I mean, listen.
John Workman has a lot to do in this issue, but most of it could be cut and pasted from the previous dialogue balloon. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not shitting on Frank. No,
You're incapable of it.
Okay, real talk. Is it anywhere on a level with the original? No.
Oh, come on. I mean,
no, it's not. It's not.
No, it's not.
But it is its own thing, and it's a psychodrama, really. Because you got to wonder how many of these events are happening in reality. You got an AI trying to assimilate a Ronin. Like it's a mindscape thing, and it plays out like that. Because I'm assuming that all of us, if you somehow jacked into our thought processes and turn them into audio, a lot of it would be repetitive and redundant and overused, I guess you could say. But I get it. I'm enjoying Ronin too. I would be lying if I said I understood the majority of it. If you want me to admit,
you'd be lying if you said Frank understood the majority of it.
No, I'm sure Frank understands it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
It's just that we got to see Agat come back, the demon, and it was neat, and it was bombastic and huge. Like most of this thing is double page spreads, and they're crazy detailed. They're just gorgeous. There's just not. There's not a.
There's not a part. Okay, I mean, I already know your answers to me, but I'll direct this more to depth. Then there's not a part of you that isn't sad about this, though. Because I'm sad about it. It makes me sad.
Why?
Because Frank Miller, in his prime, was as good, if not better, than anyone to ever do it. And his stuff. I know this doesn't change the original Ronin experience. I understand that, but I mean, maybe because I'm getting older, like I do think legacy. Like I don't know why he would come back and make new comics if he didn't care about his legacy, and because it's not like he's just making these for his own volition and someone's leaking them. Like he's trying to sell them, he's trying to market them, and it hurts my heart. It's just it dilutes the legacy, and it would be one thing if he was just making new stuff, and it's like, oh, okay, like a band that makes albums you don't listen to them, but you like it's like, but he's going back to the well of his sacred things, and he's fucking them up, and I don't understand what the point of it is. Like, Ronin was so transcendently good and so important and so revelatory. I mean, you want to tell stories, make something new, dude, cool. But, like, don't go back to Ronin if this is what you're going to give me. I don't understand it. And I'm sure you have a very different opinion of it. But for me, it makes me sad. Like, I just, like, on an emotional level, seeing Frank both as a renderer of line work and a storyteller now makes me sad. I don't understand why. Like, I can't, like, this is a guy that always took very immense pride in his work. I don't understand how he can... Unless he's surrounded by yes men, I don't understand how he thinks he's producing work that is worthy of his legacy. And I just I'm never going to understand it. Like even if I have a chance to sit down and talk about it, I'm never going to understand it. So.
Well, I think this kind of talk runs in tandem with the old argument where, this work that came out 40 years ago, you know, it doesn't live up to current expectations. Like it can't, it never will. So you can't.
Like if other people do Watchmen stories, that is a different conversation to me than if Alan Moore came back and took a paycheck to do a Watchmen story and it sucked. I think those are like I would have a viscerally different reaction to that. Like,
right.
I like the Watchmen stuff. Like I know Dap felt some kind of way. A lot of people did. I was fine with it because it was different. I'm like, well, this is just other people. Like this is almost like fanfic. I mean, it may be good, it may not be. I don't really care one way or the other. I'll read it if I'm entertained by it. Cool. If not, cool. But if Moore came back and like dropped a big turd on the legacy that was Watchmen, I'd be like, what the fuck was he thinking? And like that's where I am with Frank. Like again, Frank wants to give me Xeno Wars 1000, some story that I've had out of it. Like cool, man. Like you do you, and maybe I'll read it, maybe I won't. But he's going back to fucking Ronin, dude. I don't think it's unreasonable. I think he expects us to have expectation. Like, I don't think this one's going to be like, oh, well, it's your fault for having expectation. Nah, dude, like, he's going back to that well. Like, he is saying this is a continuation of the story that you all love me for. So, like, he is putting that expectation in our heads. So, I don't know. Like, I don't...
See, I don't think Frank has any expectations. I think he's just...
crazy.
He's never... Starting from DK2... Frank has never cared what the audience has thought or the audience reaction. He's never ever considered that. You can't do DK2 coming off of DK1 and actually care what your audience thinks. It's impossible because DK2, and I'll admit it, is nothing even remotely close to the original that everybody loves so much. So to go in swinging like that, thinking this is what I'm going to do, you cannot have any kind of thought as to what the audience reaction is going to be. You don't have a concern at all, and I think Frank has ran with that for his entire career post DK2. He just doesn't care.
Well, let's be fair to this conversation. This is not a new conversation for us. I am in the camp of DK2 hurts my heart too. So like, I mean,
well, you're
so
crazy.
This is not a new thing with me for Frank. I just think this is further descent into the abyss.
Wow, that's a little extreme, don't you think? The abyss.
No, I don't.
Wow,
I don't.
But you can't expect an aging creator to walk in the same shoes as they did when they were in their 30s.
I can if he's marketing as Frank Miller Presents Ronin Volume 2. Again, if this was,
but that's your expectations.
Is hiring Frank Miller to do a comic, and I'm like, good for Frank. Like he's trying to get a location in his pocket. Whatever, you do you, dog. Like it's like when Byrne does his comics, or like it's like, okay, man, like Byrne, you want to do Star Trek comics, man, you do you, like whatever. But like if Byrne's like, yo, I'm coming back in X-Men, it's like, yo, that better be fucking banging. Like you are the torchbearer of that entire decade of superhero comics. Like that better be fucking on point, or what are you doing going back? And again, if the answer is why he's getting a fat check from Marvel, okay, cool, that's cool too. But Frank Miller ain't getting no fat check for this. This is Frank's own dime. Frank and Dio were backing this thing. Like this is, and it's, by the way, it's doing horrendously. Like I know we don't really care about the business side of it, but like from the business, it's doing horrendously. Like it's not selling at all, and no one cares. So like again, it's like, what's the point? Like you can't be like, well, he's just doing it for himself. No, if he's doing it for himself, then he would have this as a comic that he made, and when he went to cons, he'd sell it for $50 a pop because people love Frank and they'd love to get him to sign it and put a little headshot in it. He's marketing it. They have a marketing budget. They're doing PR. It's in previews. Like they're doing solicits to stores. Like he's putting effort behind this as a commercial endeavor. So like I don't buy for a second that he doesn't care. If he doesn't care, why is he doing it? Like as an artist, why would you do anything you don't care about?
Because he's Frank and he just needs to create. He needs to show everybody else how it's done.
Yeah. Again, like, so if that's what he's trying to do, he's failing miserably, in my opinion. Again, art is subjective. I sincerely hope other people are getting more out of it. I just think it hurts my heart. And Frank is like the poster boy for that, because plenty of people as their careers have gone, I'm like, it ain't what it used to be. But like, I think Frank is like bastardizing his own legacy, and I don't understand it. I don't understand it.
It makes me so happy that this has affected you as it has.
Well, because
I want to see Frank.
We've teased you about DK too. Like I think
it's brilliant,
right? And that's where we agree to disagree. Now that's fine, but like, whereas I can understand the debate between DK2 liking it or not, like legitimately can understand that. The fact that you basically were speechless, rendered speechless when David brought this up, is indicative of what I'm getting at. Like it is, other than Frank is your spirit animal and you want to send good karma his way, I think this is an indefensible work. Because again, and keep in mind this, because you cannot convince me that he's doing this for his own volition. That's bullshit, because the only volition he's caring about is selling it, and it ain't working. No one's buying it. Well, you two are buying it, but nobody else is buying it. So like,
I think
Austin's buying it.
And this is a guy that anytime he wants to can put 4 scratch marks on a page that look like Batman and sell it for $5,000 to a collector.
That's amazing.
He does it every few months. So dude doesn't need money. It ain't to pay the bills. It ain't for his Social Security or his health care, and Lord knows he needs a lot of health care from the look of him. This is pure ego.
You don't need
this
to go
is pure
there.
ego. This is ego. I am 100. I would swear on well, I'm not religious, but I would swear in a court of law I would put my mortgage up that this is about ego. This is his ego, and I don't understand why his ego is so insecure at his ripe old age, given that, again, he can put a scribble of a Batman face on a napkin and sell it for $5,000. So I don't know why his ego needs stroking.
You would say about most people, you would say more power to him. If they can get that, then there you go, more power.
I would, because again, if you don't ever hear me badmouth his art hustle. I think his art hustle is fascinating. I would not personally be interested in spending for that money for it, but I love that people like. I'm like that. That's why I'm saying, like, these are different things to me. Frank wants to if he wants to put out like Stan Lee putting out comics in his 80s and no one read. Like, if Frank wants to put out a comic, like, Diablo's titty, and like it sucks, like, I don't care. He's fucking putting out Ronin. Like, nah, dude. Like, no. Like, no.
Just no.
This is the best. Yeah.
No,
well, you know what?
Get help.
In this instance, on this particular subject, I'm the classic unreliable narrator. Yes. I'm never, ever going to tell you anything other than Frank is a genius and the work is great. I'm incapable of. How do I feel about the work? I feel how I feel, and I just feel how I feel. But yeah, I got to put up a front when it comes to Frank, because next to Alan Moore, he's probably the greatest writer that has ever come out of comics.
Agreed. Yeah, I wouldn't even argue. Well, I mean, I would argue if he was number 2, but he's an all timer. That is unassailable. He could do 50 other pieces of shit before he dies, and his place as one of the greatest ever is unassailable.
And as far as his art style, it's like Frank has a jib that has been cut into a perfect shape, and I have the other half of that jib. And whenever he makes art, it just fits so nicely into my jib, if that's even an appropriate analogy. The two pieces just meld, and I just jones on Frank's artwork, because it's not what it used to be. Of course, he's not the person he used to be, but I just love his art. And many people think, Frank lowballed it. No, that's just Frank being Frank. And it's the anatomy may be a little bit wonky or janky. That's just what he wants to do. He's telling you that strict adherence to physical reality is not appropriate, because these are comic books. This is art. Art is just an approximation of reality. It's not the real thing. So why should anatomy follow suit? That's just Frank. He's teaching us, Jason.
You don't hear me badmouth him as an artist. I've said it's not for me, but I love that he could listen. I mean, if we really want to get technical about the art, and we should have Felix on for this, because Felix is like the foremost authority on DK art, Dark Knight art. And again, I think we've talked about this over the years, I'm sure before, but there's a lot of credible people that think he drew very little of DKR. Like he drew pieces of it, and most of it was not drawn by him. Frank is
who drew it? Janssen?
Janssen and the Varley colors and stuff. Yeah, it's a lot of people believe there's very little Frank Miller line work on a lot of the pages. Yeah.
No,
and these
Klaus is nowhere near that good. Sorry.
Again, I'm this is kind of Felix I'm talking about. My point is, there's lots of DKR art that is highly controversial of how much it touched it, but being Frank is a illustrator is its own thing. Frank is in totality storyteller and creative force is unassailable, and that's the part that hurts my heart. Don't go back to the well, dude. Tell new things.
No, I get you, and that's as a consumer and a fan, I can understand that reaction.
Sure,
but as an acolyte, I can't have it.
For me, I'm happy to say this does nothing to take away my enjoyment of the original series. It's not like one depends on. I mean, obviously, yes, this builds on the first series, but I can still.
Ronin is Ronin, yeah.
So that's fine. But I am not about to spend 4 figures for 4 scribbles on a piece of paper. So if this is what I have to do to get some Frank, I'll pay the
$7.99,
which is finally on the back of the book for this issue.
Yeah.
Well, I would push 2 things for you on that. Why do you need more Frank? Why can't you just go back and read Ronin again, or something that was good? And 2, Frank doesn't care that you're giving him the $8, right?
You're right. No. Frank doesn't. Frank's not thinking about me. But you're right. I can go back and pull off anything off the shelf, and if I want to read some Frank, it's part of it is a case of where it's weird to say I want to reward him for this, but it's if he wants to put it, I mean, if he came out with a new Sin City series, we would probably be checking that out. The fact, I don't know if it's because this is Ronin or because it's he's just doing the breakdowns for the first few issues. But if he wanted to come back and bring Marv out of mothballs, I think a few people. Although the Xerxes series really didn't probably do all that great after 300, but it's
well, there was DKR 3. I mean, there was Dark Knight 3, Master Race, right?
Which that was right, which was mostly Azzarello and Kubert, but Frank was attached to it. So I mean, and we went through that too. So I mean, again, it's just listen. If Frank wants to, Frank's pretty much, because it's not like I'm not going out of my way to pick up anything that Byrne's doing these days. Moore's not doing anything except for some prose work here and there. So it's I can, as somebody who was buying and reading the stuff when he was in his prime of the stuff he was doing off the shelf, seeing someone like Frank, seeing Frank still trying to get it, then I can support that.
He's doing it.
Say again?
He's not.
No,
trying.
he is doing it. He's doing it. I mean, the proof is right here. We got the issue in front of us, but however you feel about it is one thing. But it is it's if it's there, I'll go for it. I'm not, if this was a decade ago, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not swinging $8 for a Frank book that I'm not. But it's, right. I mean, I'm right
you're
now.
Money bags now. You're a man of heat.
I'm okay with my station where I'm just like, listen, I can throw these check with Frank's way. He doesn't. But it's
$10 flies out your ass on the street.
That's true. You're right.
I would cut something else to pay for this.
Yeah, that's and Lord knows. I mean, and I probably have looking at the past few months of my orders, but it's just it's also. It was an experiment. I wanted to say, if Frank's back and he's going back to the well for a story he told back in the 80s. What the hell? I'm like, why not? I
have to be careful when I bring an issue of Ronin Book 2 home, because you guys saw Pulp Fiction, right? The suitcase. You open the suitcase and the light just shines out of it. When I have the Ronin Book 2 issue in my bag, the light is just streaming out of the book. It's blinding people. And then I bring it home and I open it up in the kitchen. I don't even have to have a light on in the house.
Man, what a halcyon time for you. Aliens are real. UFOs are real, and Frank Miller's making comics again. Like it's
my universe. You're all just living in it.
It's true.
It's true. Thank you, Frank.
That was great.
All right, everybody. Hey, this episode, as usual, has been brought to you by who? CheapGraphicNovels.com. Proof is in the pudding and in the name. If you go to the site, look around, you will see that the prices are much lower, 10, 20, 30, 40% lower than what you can get on Amazon. And place your order, receive an email confirmation, respond like a human being to the email confirmation saying, hey, Max, you know what? 11 O'Clock Comics told me you were the bomb. That's why I ordered, and now I'm glad. And they will say, well, thank you so much for ordering. Here is a voucher or a code or something. I don't even know how it works. For free shipping on your second order or your next order. It's amazing. Free shipping. It's the best thing in the world. CheapGraphicNovels.com. And if you are so kind, check out our Patreon page. There's going to be a big shakeup soon. We're rejiggering the Patreon structure, and we'll let you in on that when it happens. But for right now, just so you could say I knew it when, but this is awesome. Patreon.com. That's a shitty selling point, isn't it? Patreon.com/ 11 O'Clock Comics, 11, no apostrophe. Take a look around. Audio, video, sometimes 5-6 hours of extra audio a month that the regular listeners don't get. Jason does
videos came at them today.
Yeah, Jason does these videos where he grabs you by the hand, his little tender manicured hand grabs yours and takes you through the previews. But all of them.
It was weird going no image preview. I did an image video, but I had to do it off the laptop screen because
it's a little strange.
Yeah.
But takes you through the previews catalogs, all of them. And we have images. You have downloads. You could download vintage fanzines as they were published in the wild way back when. DAP does this awesome page rate where you get a page of a comic a day. It's something to look forward to, right?
Yeah.
What's
we'll give
happening?
We'll give them a little tease. We're going to, when we rejigger, there's a good chance that there will be some behind the Patreon podcast content on a regular basis.
Yeah. It's just a smart thing to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
So just stay tuned.
It's gonna blow up.
If you're an existing patron, we're not doing you wrong. This isn't like Disney throwing a 27% price hike at you. That ain't happening. Whatever you got now, you're getting at least that and more. It's not like we're doing you dirty, raising prices, but we're going to try and level set the tiers, offer some new things to people that maybe aren't into the Slack but want to support us. We're going to try and liven things up. We're past the 5-year anniversary and it's been awesome, but we feel like it's certainly overdue for a refresh, just to sort of level set everything.
Like Jason says, if you're an existing patron, we appreciate you, and we're going to show you that, right?
Yes.
So there you go. Patreon.com/11 o'clock comics. In your travels, I want you to read now. Full disclosure, the back of this book features a pull quote from none other than Jason Wood.
Yes, it does. Yes, sir.
But do not let that dissuade you from reading this, because because it's really good. It is written by Matt Kund, art by Gonzalo Ruggieri, and lettered by Noah Ray. It is called Metal Eagle. And it's awesome. It was so much fun. It answers the question, what if your favorite heavy metal band were secretly undercover agents, secret operatives?
Yep.
Yeah. And it's just great. It doesn't stretch the membrane at all. It's just wonderfully fun, really cool escapades of a heavy metal band who are, it's not to say a heavy metal band posing as undercover agents. They're both. They're a heavy metal band. They fulfill the bill in that respect. They play the shows and the music. They got the fans. So on the surface, they're a heavy metal band, encompassing everything that a heavy metal band encompasses. But underneath the surface, they're also secret agents. And it's really neat.
Yes.
I don't know where this Gonzalo Ruggieri came from, but I absolutely love this art.
Totally agree.
Yeah, it is loose and gestural and fluid, and the colors are organic. Like, all of it's organic. There's not a hard line in the joint. Everything, like, he has an affinity for the beautiful thicks and thins of the line work, the pressure. It's just great. One of the things I like most about it is they clipped all of the corners on the panels and they rounded them. So the panel lines, whether horizontal or vertical, don't meet in a corner. In fact, the black line doesn't encompass the curve of the corners. I think that's a really cool way to encompass the panels. I love it. It's just a really good book. And it is, who's the publisher? I mean, I know these guys, Matt did it himself, but is there a publishing company on this? I don't see one.
Well, it's Matt self-published, but he has there is a publisher that he owns, Ageless Press. Yeah, Ageless Press.
Right. Because there's no stamp, there's no logo or anything in the corner. Or there's no.
It's Matt. It's Matt, and I think he is a partner. But he puts these out via the publisher. But I think it's Ageless Press.
And it's vintage, right? It's early '90s. So the second issue, the first issue, the mission is called "For Those About to Rock." We salute you, Matt. We salute you. But the second one is called Mission 2, and it's going to Berlin. And their tour bus looks to have smashed through the Berlin Wall, and the band is all standing on and sitting on the Berlin Wall. It is a really strong, great image. Oh, and let us not forget that there's a backup story called Bridge Over Troubled Water. See, every episode is a song title, right? Which is illustrated by Wilson Gandolfo. And it tells a little bit of backstory on how a character, what they did before they became a member of Metal Eagle. Really cool. Metal Eagle.
Yeah, it's really. I mean, Matt's done some fun stuff before, but this was awesome and really right up my alley. So.
I liked it a lot. Yeah.
Yep.
I just have to question that pull quote on the back though. Like,
it's a masterful quote. I mean,
is it though?
Yeah, it really is. He was overjoyed when I gave it to him. So
nice. Well, he's young.
And you notice I didn't like, it wasn't just like Jason Wood. I dapped up the show. I mean, it was.
Well, why wouldn't you? It's in your best interest to do so.
I'm saying, so at least give me that credit. I mean,
no, that's good. No, it does say.
It's not like I wasn't going into business for myself. Like, it's not like this isn't like WWE. I'm not Charlotte Flair. You know what I mean? It's like
it does say co-host of 11 O'Clock Comics podcast. There you go. Yeah. I can read the quote to you, people, if you want to hear it. But
you should buy the book.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you want to read it, go buy the book. It's really, really well done.
The quote is well done, but so is the book. Yeah.
No. Who doesn't love metal, ne'er-do-wells, LSD? It's come on.
That's the part that floors me. It's a metal book, and there's a pull quote from Jason.
Right? You would think it would be like Yo-Yo MTV Raps or something.
I mean, listen,
this shit's tighter than cribs.
I appreciate your work. I mean,
Dr. Dre endorses this.
You would never see a pull quote on Ronin from me, but
well,
metal. You go, hell yeah.
See, no,
that's because Frank's waiting for the pull quote from Vince.
You got you got to get all.
Oh, and for those wondering, I got confirmation today that Mitch Jerry commissioned. So
wait, you're back? You're off hiatus? Oh no, this is the one you ordered.
No.
4 years
We're at 40 months and counting.
Oh God! Again, you better open it up, and the light should just brilliantly illuminate the room because it better go there. It better not be a Brian Boland thing.
Dude, I literally have a screenshot of him saying, "I will get it done before San Diego. I promise." And San Diego was a week and a half ago.
Yep. Sorry. Oh my God. But he did confirm that it's coming.
Oh, like 100 times.
Yeah. Oh, so how much faith can you put in this latest one?
Precisely.
Wow.
Listen, I love Mitch. He's a great guy. He's a friend of a friend. He's obviously super close with Tom. Tom's our friend. We've had a few social interactions with Mitch. He's a good guy by all accounts, but there's just a professionalism that ain't there, and it's frustrating.
Yes.
Anyway, please continue, David. Tell us.
It'll be a great day because you'll be coming home after Holden graduates and coming home to seeing this piece of art waiting for you in the mailbox. Hey. Man, that's going to be amazing.
Word up.
I mean, graduate college at that, but
so we're at 8 years and counting. Okay,
yes.
Cool.
We have. I'm not going to go too deep into this because I haven't finished it yet. I'm taking my time. The second volume was solicited last month. Dark Horse is doing some beautiful work here with this Richard Corben library. It is Murky World. I've seen some here and there over the years, but I mean I've never read like chunks of Murky World at a time. This is nice to have. It really is. If you're a Corben fan, I mean, it's a given, but it's just the production quality. I mean, yeah, the spot varnish on the dust jacket, but there's a nice full color, full edge to edge image on the hardcover itself, on the front cover. I just head over to Chief Graphic Novels and pick this volume up and get ready for upcoming volumes. I'm just kind of taking my time and taking in each page because the man knows how to illustrate a story. It's just that's not news. That's such an understatement.
It's an understatement.
I mean, yeah, it's not even but it is. The work speaks for itself, is what I'm saying. Just in your travels, go out, get Murky World, get the next volume, and I believe Vince has said that there's about 4 altogether when all is said and done. So
no, there's 4 volumes of Den. But
okay.
Yeah, so Murky World doesn't count.
Right.
And I'm thinking Dark Horse is just going to run with it. Whatever they get the go ahead to reproduce, they're going to. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a ton of stuff that falls outside the boundaries of Den. So great.
And it doesn't look like the spines are numbered or anything, unless, I mean, the Dens probably will be, but Murky World isn't, because it's probably the only thing.
Yes, it's one and done.
Right. So,
and I don't know where Mutant World's going to fall in that, because they just reproduced. There was a Kickstarter a while back, maybe a year or so ago, for a Mutant World. So I don't know if Dark Horse is going to do that, but I'm hoping that everything other than that is fair game. And it's been way too long. I mean, yeah, coming from the guy that has every freaking thing that Corben ever published, I'm still buying the new editions, but there's been far too much time between when that stuff was available and now. Like the Arabian Nights book will turn your head around. It is so good.
Mutant World, was that written by Jan?
A lot of stuff with Stranad, yeah. But
is maybe that a reason why maybe Mutant World?
I don't know.
Went to Kickstarter?
I don't know.
Okay.
I will say this though, you underplayed it a little, and I get it. But next to Jack Kirby, you're going to be buying the greatest comic book artist of all time. Jack Kirby, then Richard Corben. I don't care what you think. That's what I think. So if you want to buy stuff by almost the best, like if Kirby never existed, Corben would be the greatest comic book artist of all time. There you go. Go buy this.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, there's probably people go, oh, Corben, who the hell's Corben? You don't know him, don't care if you do. But those who know, Mobius, do you ever read the quote that Mobius bestowed upon Richard Corben? Google it.
Right here. It's right in the introduction from that Mike Mignola wrote. Richard Corben's. You want me to read it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Richard Corben stands among us like an extraterrestrial peak. He has sat in his throne for a long time, above the moving and multicolored field of world comics, like an effigy of the leader, a strange monolith, a sublime visitor, a solitary enigma.
Boom.
Jean Girard with the quote. Damn.
Boom. Straight from the mouth of Mobius. You're going to argue with Mobius? No.
Right?
Right?
Conceptual continuity. This is beautiful, because my inner travels is a video I want people to watch.
Oh, nice.
No, I posted this on the Slack a week ago. Don't know if you all have seen it. I assume you probably own it. That's for all I know. But our buddy Felix Liu, he very rarely does his podcast these days, but when he does, it's usually very cool. And I think this was the first actual episode of this year, believe it or not. But Felix Liu Comic Art Podcast, he had Ken Viola on, and that name I suspect for most people listening doesn't ring a bell, and that's fine. But Ken is just one of those guys that's like, he was in comics in the heyday, and was deep into it, and had the good fortune of becoming close personal friends with a lot of the great creators of the time, including Steve Ditko. He's one of the few people that went and hung out with Ditko at his apartment many times. Anyway, point is, Felix had a great conversation with Ken about his life in comics. But as part of that, the discussion was this 1987 documentary that Ken made when he was steeped in this stuff, called The Masters of Comic Book Art. And as I'm hearing him talk about it, I'm like, wow, this sounds fascinating, because over a period of months, Ken, who was in his early 20s at the time, I'm guessing, leveraged his friendships and interviewed like the all-time greats about the craft, and put together a videotape DVD at the time, and released it as a documentary. And I was like, man, this would be great to see. Again, it's not something that's like streamable. So I looked, and fortunately, or you can't buy it. Like I couldn't find a copy, but then I went on YouTube, and YouTube's pretty cool. There are the documentary is freely available on YouTube. So I posted a link. If you want to find it, and you're not a part of our Facebook group because I posted it there or our Slack, just Google or go to YouTube and search for Masters of Comic Book Art documentary, and it'll come up. There's a couple different versions. But anyway, it's an hour long. It's pretty tight. It's an hour long documentary. But, dude, it's absolutely bananas. Like, if you are a fan of that era, and who isn't, at least among us, it is, like, I cannot explain how amazing it was to see. First of all, it's narrated by Harlan fucking Ellison. And, like, it's, like, Ellison's in, like, a fly-ass, like, lounge suit, and he's filming it from his apartment in his library, and he's like showing you his personal library of books and comics and art books. And Ellison introduces each of the artist interviews, and then we get these little edited, I would say they're between 5 and 10 minutes depending on which artists chat. You know, I assume there were probably hours of chat that can boiled down to kind of like the key hits. I'd love to see the unedited stuff someday. But and the artists involved were Eisner, Kurtzman, Kirby, Ditko, Neil Adams, Wrightson, Mobius, Miller, Sim, and Spiegelman. And he's got sit-down interviews with all these guys. And, like, it's awesome to see. And the other cool thing is, if you're a fan of these creators, you get glimpses of them that are, like, on brand. For example, Ditko. You don't see Ditko. Ditko reads a essay he wrote about heroes and morality, and it's a long essay, and it's just Ditko narrating his own essay, and you follow along the written word as he's holding the essay up. Like, but you don't see Ditko. Miller, because speaking of, like, Frank is young and handsome and energetic, and he actually, to the point of this perfect time to mention this, he speaks for the most part, because this is 87, about Ronin and how transcendently amazing it was to get that experience, to do that and have total creative freedom and so forth and so on. So, you know, just fascinating, like just seeing each of these guys. Like Dave Sim was a handsome dude, and like he's like in a dope suit, and he's got like these sunglasses on, and like he's young. It's just crazy to see some of these guys in their much younger forms talking about the craft, you know. I just thought it was absolutely adorable, and it was an hour. It's only an hour, so it's not like sit there and have to watch 5 hours of it. It's just an hour, and I've just highly recommend it to anybody that listens to our podcast. I think you'd take great pleasure in watching this. It's just it's great. It really is. So, and
it's on the best channel ever, YouTube.
Exactly. Yeah. So Masters of Comic Book Art, and then just a quick addendum to this. Please make sure you go and see in the theater. You what? Please.
See what?
Please.
We didn't.
Turtles movie.
Oh, we didn't hear you because you broke up.
Oh, the new. It is awesome, and it's one of those things where, if you're the characters from any point, whether it be the comics or the '80s cartoon or the '90s. There's something in there for you, and then, but it's also totally modernized. You know, like character designs are different. The animation styles, I've never seen anything like that in a film. The animation style is super neat. You know, it was just a blast, and it's one of those things where my wife has absolutely no experience with turtles. Like she, you know, never at the comic. Who's my 14-year-old, very little exposure to the turtles. Love the movie. So, you know, Jackson, my 18-year-old who, you know, loves hip hop, loves Tribe Called Quest, like he loved the movie. So it's multi-generational, something for everybody. The voice actors are like in tons of amazing voice actors, a lot of cool cameos, just fun movie, man. Like really, really great. I think they killed it. So
yeah,
check that out.
I think the masterstroke is Splinter.
Oh, it was on. Oh, have you seen it?
No, I know who does the voice though.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So yeah, go see that. I'm hoping to get there maybe this weekend. I don't know. Fingers crossed. We'll see what happens. But honestly, I don't have a little musical thing for David, so we're doing this old school. Go to a comic shop, buy some comics, read them, enjoy them, get on the internets and talk about them. You don't talk about the stuff you didn't like, but the stuff you did talk up. Love your loved ones, kiss your pets. And say good night. Eat some good food. Good night. Do. Oh, wait. No, I've already done that. I'm not going to do that again. I really have nothing. David.
Wow.
I don't. I didn't have anything queued up. So. Pee-wee. Hey.
Dave.
Nice. We tell them you love them. Oh, Tony says you have a real problem with telling people you love them.
Yeah, Jason, he did say that.
Oh, about me?
Yeah, he said, "What's up with that? Why does he have such a big problem with telling people he loves them?" I'm like, I don't know.
I choose because my words mean something, and so I mean.
Oh, and ours don't.
Well, I don't know, but when I say I love someone, and you two know, when I love someone, I tell you I love you. I'm gonna tell you I love you, but like, I love a lot of the people listening to this podcast, but I can't say with good conscience I love all of them.
But it's so not. Like, see, I think you're going way too far down a road. You're just doing a platitude. You're just saying, "Hey, I love you guys."
And Frank's just making a shit comic to make money, right? Like we all have our way of interpreting the world.
Wow, that was welcome to Mean Jason.
Jesus. So that's what it is. You can love them, but shit on.
No, that's okay. Well, let's just go. David, tell them you love them.
Have you?
See, so easy for David. He's a being of emotion. He means it. He's not singling out people and saying, "Hey."
What people should take from this is if people listening have ever been told by me that I love them, then you know I genuinely meant it.
Wow.
Like Tony, I love you, Tony. I mean, 100%. Love you with all my heart.
I think I know how the people on The Price is Right felt when they got the consolation prizes.
Listen, I think I provide plenty of care and attention and value to our listeners.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But the love is something they don't all get.
Okay. We're out of here.
Kids get it. The wifey gets it. Y'all get it somehow for some unknown reason. I don't know why. But you do. I mean, the sum total of the slackers get it because they're my peoples. I gotta have a connection with you to love you. Like love is real.
Bye. Come back next time.
I like y'all a lot though. Like for real.
Oh boy.
For real.
Out of here.
That's it for that one.